on. Oh, I see what's going on. I'm like, wow, my camera was like way out of whack. All right, this is on imagination with my weird shit. For the science of whatever the fuck this science is. When you reverse engineer something, you go through stages. And one of the stages you go through, well, what did I just write? I actually just wrote this. Let me just read it to you because the way I worded this was perfectly, exactly it. Part of the science process is reverse engineering comprehension and identification from intuition, then simplifying it into Plato's point. You can sense it before you can feel it. You can feel it before you can imagine it. You can imagine it before you can describe it. You can describe it before you can simplify it. And you can simplify it before you can name it. You can name it before you can prove it. You can prove it before you can integrate it. You can integrate it before you can summarize it. You summarize it before you know it. That is learning. That is exactly the order of operations for learning. If you cannot integrate it, it's not correct. If you cannot simplify it, it's wrong. It won't integrate if it's incorrect. That's how you know it's correct, is when it integrates. So my whatever the fuck this science is at the stage of I feel it, I sense it, I can see it. That's where I got. I can summarize it down to, okay, this is a thing of whatever the fuck the science is. And then I can break down all the components within it. But I am not yet at the evolved point where I have to shift once or two more times in order to summarize it and integrate it and then go, this is what it is. So until that happens, I don't know what I've got here. I just know it's a new science and I have no idea what the science is. It's whatever the fuck the science is. So until I get to those point of perspective comprehension, which I can reverse engineer it, and then I can integrate all of the sciences that I've got, all these components into themselves, then I'll know what I've got. This is literally called authorship. This is the science of authoring. I really want to say that this is the science of story. I really want to call this the science of story. The more I say that, the more it just feels right. Let's take a look at the etymology of the word story. Story etymology. Okay, Latin historia, history. Okay, this is so not all right. That is okay. So what's the ancient Greek word? Ancient Greek word for story. Oh. I won't say it. All right. So, about that, the ancient Greek word for story is mythos, as in mythology. And it translates to the word, which is logos. They did not get logos. That explains why they have two words, because logos is Persian. Logos is Persian. Their word is mythos, as in mythology. So mythology is the logic of story and word. That really solidifies all of this. I cannot argue with that. This is literally mythos. No word is more perfect than that one. I do not have So if I were to condense now, so I say the word mythos. That's it. That's it. That's the one word. That's the word I was looking for. I say mythos. It's mythos. Mythos. Let's look at the pronunciation. Oh, it doesn't give me the pronunciation. This is beautiful. Mythos. This is breathtaking. I'm back to, I really want to find the Persian word for logos. Oh, let's try this. Old Persian word for word. I'm just going to have to study the hell out of Old Persian. I just don't see a way around that, which is fine. I love studying old languages. So, there's so much in the ancient languages. So mythos, I cannot, that is hilarious to me. Mythos. So when you disintegrate mythos, that would be the first generation. That is so beautiful. You get all of education. I wouldn't even say education. I would call it knowledge. And then inside of knowledge, you have the ability to reverse engineer all of history forward and backward. And then from there, you have the ability to disintegrate that down even further from forward and backward into biology. And then biology breaks it down into 6 groups. And those 6 groups are music, art, reading, writing, communication, you could say, theater, stage, poetry, linguistics, logic, math, physics, chemistry, biology. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. And yeah, and that's it. That's it exactly. That is it exactly. And I would dare put chemistry as the breakdown prior to biology. So biology breaks it down, chemistry breaks it down, and then you've got all of it: music, art, reading, theater, linguistics, physics, all condensed. So those are the 6. So what you are really studying when you are studying, but there's more, I can feel it. It's your relativity. It's your relativity to this massive subject, this mythos. So it's you. I cannot believe it's mythos. I cannot believe you. I just, my brain is blown. Yeah. The ancient Greek word. I just cannot believe it. Mythos. So you have mythos. It breaks down to knowledge. It breaks down to history, forward, backwards. That's when you can assemble all of it. And then biology, chemistry, 6 parts. So what you're doing is you are assembling a story. But this is just the truth. And it's in relative to you. And this is where Descartes' coordinate system comes in, is you do not know who you are until you have something constant, which is the truth, in relative to something, which is why we were studying this to begin with, is so that we all could be agreed upon with, okay, this is what it is. This is the constant. So you should not be studying something unless it is the constant, which is what my whole process is about, is, okay, here's my hypothesis. That's what these videos are, hypothesis. And then you go over to, and I break it down with the science, the physics, the logic, the math, and I prove it on my website. Then it goes over into Triadic Healing's course online. And that's where I have, okay, here's the course now, here's the science behind it, and the hypothesis began here, and it goes all the way around. And there's the Plato's point. So now that I'm at this part of the stage, now I'm here and I'm delivering the, okay, here's Plato's point. Let's summarize it down. So getting it down, condensed into simplification format, mythos, so that it can be delivered in one single word of comprehension. There it is. It's done. Mythos. And that really, it's such a breathtaking word. Like, of all the words, it's, I'm looking at, my brain is just like, it's perfect. It's literally perfect. It's the ancient Greek word for a word. This is the story. And you can see the different components of all the story. So in order for you, and this is what I'm trying to get at, this is what I'm feeling and what I'm sensing, is it's our relativity, it's who we are, is how do I relate to music? How do I relate to art? So this whole thing, this whole mythos, is the defining of the self. It's the definition of self. It's how you give definition to yourself, which is why it's referred to as the learning journey of the discovered self. That is something I'm still solid on, is those words are really, that's it. It's the learning journey of the discovered self. If you don't do this, you're not going to know who you are. If you do only a fraction of it, you're only going to get a fraction of the self. You don't know who you are until you've completed this entire journey. And now it's a question of, do you want to take forever getting through the journey? Do you want to take, how is it? And this is Asha. This right here is the Asha journey. Is not only is it the learning journey of the discovered self, but it's the standard of, we want to make sure we get this to you fast, thorough, effective, high standard, and complete, so that you're not spending 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years getting this done. This should not take this long. If you have parents right out of the gate who have you on top of this stuff, first of all, you're already there with your internal learning clock. Your internal learning clock already has you set to do this. We're just preserving it, making sure you stay on it, and teaching you about it that way. Okay, this is the internal learning clock. This is the learning journey of the discovered self. This is the story, mythos. And this is me learning about my relativity to mythos so that I know who I am. Okay. And that's really the summation of all of this. That's it. And when it's done properly, when it's done correctly, it flies. Now, here's the beautiful thing, is you only get to a certain point, which is that's the end of the 6 subjects, and each one of those subjects is broken off into 3 parts. So you're going to have 3 branches of each. But again, you don't need all of this. And that's 5,400 pages. It was funny because my son and I pulled out all of our math books, and we actually have all math books from arithmetic all the way up to calculus and trig. So I'm going, wow, there's really no reason why I can't sit my ass down every afternoon, like after I get done working, and I just do math. So I really just need to do math every day. Like, really, I just need to do math every day. Poor me. And I'm definitely at a point where it cannot wait. It cannot wait. My problem is, if you want to call it a problem, is I have to understand the why. So I'm sitting here going, okay, please excuse me, dear and silly. You got to do the addition before you do the subtraction. We do it all. And then I'm going, yeah, but why? Who came up with PEMDAS? Why? Why do you have to do? And it's, yeah, I want to reverse engineer I want to know why the order of operations. But why does addition come before subtraction? Now, clearly it does, because, all the math is correct. And that's just it. It's the ability to assess, okay, the math is correct, this is correct. When it's all correct, it just floods to you. It's beautiful. So, and for me, math is not my forte, and as in that's not my destiny. That's a great tool for me, and that's all to me, it's a tool and it's fun. That's how I have fun, as I do math. So this is really what it is. It's you knowing your relativity to all of this. Now, and this is it. This is where I can see philosophy being a massive part of all of this. Is, okay, we're going to walk you through all of this. You're going to go on this massive journey. And mythos, yeah, it's the story of story. And that's really it. You've got, I'm trying to come up with a curriculum. Like, that's really what it is I'm analyzing Plato's curriculum. And what he gave me was the 6: music, art, reading, theater, linguistics, physics, chemistry. He gave me that. And I was able to follow all 6 of it. But when I followed all 6 of it, what I noticed was he had pieces of it missing. Now, I just read a passage on Pythagoras, which confirmed a lot of my suspicion that they kept this a secret. And when I sat down and read it on Pythagoras, it clearly stated this is the order of Pythagoras, the Pythagorean order. And yes, it was kept a secret. And I'm like, why is it kept a secret? Now, I know why it's kept a secret is because it's magic. And this is fucking powerful shit. So it comes down to, and this is really what needs to be discussed, is power versus knowledge versus ethics. And this is really the conversation that people need to understand, because you get people who are uneducated, who are unaware of the ethics, and who see power and get scared. And this is the problem. Power does not come to anyone who does not have ethics. You cannot get this knowledge without the ethics. You can't. It doesn't work that way. It completely disintegrates and falls apart. Look at Full Metal Alchemist. So if you want your whatever it is you create to sustain, you're going to have the ethics with the knowledge. There's no other way. 100% of everything that the ethics touch lasts for all ever. Here it is 2,000 years later, and these ethics are still here, uneroded, unchanged, because they're constants. Constants don't change. That's why they're constants. And this isn't the concept of truth. I will not get into it with truth. I will not. I was just having this massive conversation on truth with somebody, and he was explaining to me his conversation with some people on it. And I said, I don't do this anymore. I don't. This is not a conversation. I said, truth was already established by Socrates, by Descartes. They already talked about truth. They already defined it. They already established it. They already said this is truth, the end. And after Socrates did that, Descartes came along and said, yup, and here's the Cartesian coordinate system. Here's the math proving truth. So math proved truth with Descartes. Like, this is not a discussion. If truth was not defined, science would not exist. If truth was not defined, then science would not exist. The only people who have not gotten this memo is non-scientists. I have no, it's not a discussion. And furthermore, the only people who have a problem with truth are people who have suffered under narcissism. Narcissists are the only people who struggle with this concept. So if you are struggling with truth, you've got narcissism. You were exposed to a narcissist who told you something different. That is it. There is nothing else here. Scientists don't have this discussion because they know they're doing science, the end. This is a 2,000-year-old, already put to bed discussion. So now the question is, why are we all talking about truth? Oh, because narcissists are playing a fucking game with you again. So this is actually what we call a distraction from a red herring. See, the longer you argue about this bullshit, the less you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to be doing is learning. And instead of learning, you are reinventing an old wheel that scientists have long since figured out, and it's all over. So instead of learning, you are reinventing wheels. And this is where it's amazing, because it's probably the only thing that really upsets me anymore is you've got the material is old, and this is it's done. Why are we talking about it? And it got to this point where I realized that there's just nothing to be discussed. It's done. And in Asha, it's you've already read Socrates, you've already read Sophie's World, you already have done the Descartes Cartesian coordinate system, you're already educated. And if you're not educated in learning, well, then you're already over here and you're already going through it. Truth is not up for debate. This is not a discussion anymore. The only ones who don't have their shit together are the narcissists, which means you're now playing their stupid little game of, ooh, look over here, I've got a red herring for you. And this strategy, this red herring bullshit from narcissists is common. It is caused from a contamination of language. And once you get into the contamination of language, now you're dealing with narcissist land again. Anytime there is arguing, there is narcissism at play. And that is your first clue that you've been suckered into their bullshit. So when you have something, because here's it, it's either already been figured out, or this is 100% an inability to organize truth from BS. You don't have an opinion. You have an inability to organize truth from BS. And that is because you lack logic. Now, the people who have logic don't have this problem. We know the truth. It's already been a 2,000-year-old dead discussion. We're doing science now, and we're reverse engineering. And this is where you're going to start seeing the gap, this huge gap between scientists who are authoring new shit. And that's all scientists do, is they are authoring, they are discovering, and they are pioneering. And that's all they do. Author, discover, pioneer. And over again. Author, discover, pioneer. And then there's just the circus. There's the narcissist circus. And people who have already done the education, they've already gone through the curriculum, they've already, author, discover, pioneer, they're done. They're all done with, the game does not exist to them. The only ones who play the game are non-Asha. Literally. The only ones who are left playing the game are the non-Asha. And I'll have some people come to me and we'll discuss it, and they'll want to talk about and debate all this stuff. This isn't up for debate. This isn't a discussion. It's already decided. We've already done the research. It's over. And you've got people who are literally discussing things that are over 2,000 years old because they're that far behind. So now you got people who are 2,000 years behind the times. And that's really it, is people are 2,000 years behind the times. And then you've got people who figured it out and we're good. We're doing it. So there's now a 2,000 year gap between scientists and non-scientists. Your education is 2,000 years behind. Because, yeah, that's really it. Your education is archaic. And it's so archaic that you are now debating old topics that scientists already know about. We're done. So scientists, I want you to really wrap your head around this for perspective. For scientists, our mindsets are in the year 4024. And you guys are in the year 2024. And scientists are looking at non-scientists going, this isn't, why are you talking about ancient history? Why are you debating ancient history? That doesn't even make sense. What are you doing? And this is it right here, is this is the rift. Your education comes from it's the 4th century. It's literally 380 CE. So now you've got people who have a prehistoric. You've got people with a prehistoric educational system, and you've got people who are at the 2000. Like I'm at 2000. We're fine. And now there's this massive break. And I get over into my scientist community, and in my scientist community, it's clear. There's no discussion. We're good. We are all on the same page. It's the year 4024, and we are pioneering new shit with our discovery and authorship. There's no debate over what did or did not happen 2,000 years ago. We're here. Now, my science is literally wisdom archaeology. So I am pioneering abandoned and forgotten old shit, just like archaeologists are putting together their piece. So we're all on this, let's find the truth mission. And that's what's going on with scientists. We already know what the truth is. Now we're just building on it. We're already expanding on it. You guys are still over at the phase 1, can't even agree on what the core is. So here's the real thing right here. This is the crux. Either you can learn from the scientists who already have it so figured out that they're able to build on it, expand, and everything's going along, and it's all Mother Nature. Or you're back 2,000 years ago and you're still trying to figure out what point 1 is. So that's the difference, is you got people who are arguing over the first truth. There's no other word for it. It's called the first truth. And then you've got people who have already figured that out, and we are 2,000 years ahead of you. So we are 2,000 years ahead of the first truth. And there you have it. So now you've got this massive communication gap, a 2,000-year-long communication gap between scientist and non-scientist. And I noticed what I'm doing a lot of is, because I haven't been able to identify these two rifts, I have people who are in both sides. And every time I step over into the non-scientist side, I just get angry. I just get like, what the hell is going on? What's this insanity? Being able to define the insanity of it is a huge, oh, now I understand it. Oh, there's a 200. So while the scientists have already figured out what you guys have yet to agree on, we've already proven it, figured it out, and we're fine, and we're 2,000 years into the future. And it works because it's all being plugged in together and it's going. We're building it. We're building it. And now we've got this massive infrastructure that's 2,000 years into the future, and we're set. You guys still can't agree on the first truth, which is long, irrelevant garbage history. And it's it's this it's this amazing rift. And this is where, when you look at the educational system, it shows, it reeks of it. And this 2,000-year gap education, now it's a matter of, okay, I have a 2,000-year gap in my education. How do I catch up with the scientists? And that's the Asha journey. That's like, all right. So you really have to decide which side of this rift you're going to be on. Now, with my brain, if somebody told me that, hey, these people are 2,000 years into the future, oh, I'm going to go over here. They've already got it figured out. I'm going to go over here. So I'm going to study from them. Now, I know that I would study in the right order of operations. Now we're back over to this massive, my first page here, this massive mythos. So you're going to start with mythos, and then you're going to break it down from there. And this was not a perfect setup from Plato. Now, also, we have, I found piecemeals of it. So I found his curriculum, but his curriculum did not contain the story of story. It did contain learning, but the story of story, history, forward and backwards, knowledge, these three subjects, he did not at all. I'm there. It's the story construction. It's what the story is. It's how it was built. It's where the story is going. It's where the story has been. It's how it got there. And it's why. You know, no one's ever asked these questions before. We're always asking, who am I? What am I? Where am I? But it's all relative to the story, to mythos. And this is really it. It's your who, what, where, when, but these are not the right words. Why? For story, those are not at all going to be the same words. And this is where we ran into the problem of, well, no wonder why we're not asking the right questions. Thank you, Douglas. So let's talk about what is the story, which is mythos, the story of mythos. And how it was built. Where the story is going, where it's been. So you're asking about the future. You're asking about the past, how it happened, and the why. And when you step into mythos, it's your relativity to this story. So it's you versus mythos. I would call it the story of nature. I would call it the first story. And that's why you learn. You are learning the first story. I can feel a pull towards something and I'm heading toward it. I'm integrating my thoughts into a single point and I'm getting there. And this is taking me a time. You are learning your relativity to your story. And which parts of Mother Nature are you? Simplify it. Natural story. Natural story. What is your ratio of natural story? There is the ultimate question. Found it. What is your ratio of natural story? If you do not know your ratio, you are not going to be complete. You are not going to be okay. What is your ratio of natural story? I'm going to try this out on some of my friends to see how this works. What is your ratio of natural story? Oh, I'm going to totally Socratic method him. What is your ratio of natural story? If you cannot answer this question, you do not know who you are. This is the Asha journey. The Asha journey is you finding out what your ratio of natural story is. Because until you know your ratio of natural story, you will not know who you are. You can't. Because you're man-made. Because you're going to have a part of you that's man-made. That's where you're the author. So you're going to have your ratio of natural story, and then you're going to have your own authorship in comparison and relativity to the story. So there's the story, and then there's how are you going to write the story. I know what this is. This is called a round robin. This is what this is. We're all building a round robin because it's exactly what I would want. That's already what I've manifested. A round robin. So here's the deal. We're all playing round robin, which means you need to write your sentence as the author. But have you even read the story, or are you just putting in some stupid sentence? You're probably just putting in some stupid sentence because you didn't read the entire story to play round robin. So you're playing round robin with the universe. You have to enter your sentence and your part of the story. You have to author your part. But you can't author your part of the story if you don't even have any kind of continuity. You do not have continuity to the round robin story. And because you have no continuity, your part doesn't make sense. And we're all trying to play round robin here. This is making so much more sense, and I am so happy about all of this. We're all trying to play round robin here, but you're not doing your part, doing the story to get the continuity so you can write your part. Instead, you're just writing garbage and you're adding it on, and now the story doesn't make sense and it's confusing, and none of us can figure out what the story is because you're not doing your part. Akashic Records did their part. That's their story. I did my part. I'm putting it with Akashic Crisis, and now we've got the round robin game going. And we're going, woo! Da Vinci did his part. Ayn Rand did her part. We all did our parts. Douglas Adams is all over the fuck place. He did his part. And he put it inside the book. And now we're all comparing it going, ooh, because we all have continuity. And it's all got to match because the story has to make sense. But you've got a bunch of people who can't even agree on what the original continuity is. Scientists have already figured that. They're like, oh, we know what it is. Because you science, so you're just, it's there. Oh, okay. Because that's what the game is round robin of mythos. So you're playing the round robin mythos game. That's what you're doing. And if you can't author your part, you are not going to be okay. You will never be okay until you author your part. Because that's how you know who you are, is by authoring your part. But you don't get to be an independent author. None of us do. None of us get to be an independent author. That's really what this comes down to, is there's a lot of indie authors out there. I am an indie author, so I just got to say I love my fucking community. That being said, there's a lot of really moronic independent authors out there. And they're complaining that they're lonely. Well, you're not in the continuity. You're going to be alone because you're an independent author. It is a group effort. It is a collaborative round robin. And that's just it. You have a collaborative round robin. Once you have your collaborative round robin where we're all group authors coming together and we're all writing our own story, all right, we're all synchronized. Each of you comes up with your own science. That's what scientists are doing. They're all becoming their own thread of science. The problem is they're following too much of everyone else's and they don't know how to reverse engineer their intuition. Oh, scientists are going to love me when they get a hold of my work. They're going to go like, oh my God, I can like bypass the entire bullshit section of the logical fallacy that's in scientific method. And I'm going to go, yeah, that's right. I can find my answers faster because I'm not hypothesizing. I'm asking a question. That's right. Yeah. Ask a question. Never hypothesize. Never hypothesize. Never hypothesize. As soon as you hypothesize, you've made yourself like 20 times more work. Ask a question. Never hypothesize. That's why opinions are stupid. Instead of asking a question, you're hypothesizing. Don't ever hypothesize. A hypothesis is, okay, I cannot yet weave this into the blanket. So I'm going to have these placeholders until I can. But I have to keep weaving the story. Now, honestly, every time I get into hypothesis realm, no. When I don't have enough fabric, when I don't have enough chains linked up, that's when it all falls apart. And that means that I'm not learning. As soon as you start that, this is it right here, is when you start to hypothesize and the logic doesn't add up, it's because you need to learn. You do not get to hypothesize if you have things to learn. It's like the rule of the Asha. You do not get to hypothesize if you have learning to do. You just don't. I'm going to write that down because that's it. I cannot emphasize that enough. You do not. Like learning, hypothesis is for people who know. You do not get to hypothesize when you have learning to do. A hypothesis is for people who know and are just waiting for the math to show up to prove it. That is why I hate opinion. Is because if you have an opinion, that's the first sign that you should be learning, but you're not. There's nothing else. So what we are really doing is Mother Nature has this mythos story. Really, this is it. Mother Nature has the natural story. And the natural story is already written. We just don't know it. Now, you've got a bunch of people who are making up shit. And then you've got other people who are making up shit and then forcing other people to listen to their made up shit. But it's all wrong because it's not the natural story. And then you got people who figured out the science of reverse engineering the natural story. And the only way you can do that is logic. There's no other way. Logic allows you to reverse engineer the natural story and then weave it again. And then you have discovery, curiosity to know which pieces to pick up. And then you have research, where you study. Oh, it's so beautiful. And then you have dissection. And then you play around with the integration and the disintegration to see which way it is. And then you can start to see how it all fits together. But this is an integration mindset. There it is. I have an integration mindset. You have a disintegration mindset. Oh. Interesting. Fascinating. integration versus a disintegration mindset. The disintegration mindset is fear, prejudice, ignorance. Oh, I can see the ratio. Ooh, there's the dichotomy. And then integration is going to be love, open, closed for disintegration, educated, learning. Why would you have an integrated, disintegrated? How do you even get a disintegrated? So you can have an integrated or a disintegrated mindset. If you have a disintegrated mindset, you're just going to continue to disintegrate. You're going to get fear, prejudice, ignorance. You're going to close off. You're going to withdraw. You're going to shut down. You're disintegrating. But the integration mindset is love, open, educated, learning, and you can feel the pull. Sometimes you're having a good day and then it pulls you back. You're right on the cusp. You're constantly flipping between integration and disintegration. And you keep practicing. You have to practice integration to eventually end the disintegration. So you have to practice an integration mindset. But I have nothing but an integrated mindset. Every now and then I fall back at that goddamn C drop. C drop pulls me right back into the disintegration mindset every fucking time. The D always puts me in the integration mindset, which is A. And then that leads to B as I'm steering over into the disintegration mindset. And then I drop into the C drop and I'm in the disintegration mindset until I drop back up into the Plato's point. A, B, C, A. Plato's point, disintegration, integration. You have to disintegrate when you want to integrate. And you want to integrate when you want to disintegrate. I had to fight the disintegration. Why was it backwards? Why is it backwards? Something is wrong. Should not be backwards at all. You have to learn to integrate during the C drop. The C drop is in human psychology when you are learning anything. It's A, then B, then C, then A. And it's A is Plato's point. That's when you are most integrated. And then B is you go through a disintegration process where you start to break it down. And then you hit this low and you get into this severe depression. That's the C drop. And then you spike back up. And when you spike back up, you hit the A and D. You hit Plato's point. This is Cinderella's story. Cinderella's story, as explained by Kurt Vonnegut, same thing. This is the logic life code. It's that Plato's point, disintegrate, integrate, Plato's point. But for some reason in the psychology here, it's reversed. I've never seen it reversed before. This is the first time in natural science I've seen it reversed. I'm going, this is an anomaly. Why is it reversed? Because it's the disintegration that is B. And then the C, well, see the B, why? It should be disintegration. No, I'm confusing something. No. Let's look at the emotions. Why is the seed drop so devastating? It feels like you'll never be happy again. When you are in a seed drop, it is the feeling like you will never be happy again. Why? That's the disintegration. No, it's not. It's the emotion that's messed up. The emotional programming got messed up. The emotional program got reversed. There it is. I found you. I found you. The emotional program got mixed up. You are not supposed to despair in the seed drop. That's not natural. Because nature is disintegrate and to integrate back into the Plato's point. It's not natural to have it backwards. You're supposed to use the opposite emotion to balance it out. So when you're in the seed drop, when you're in the process of reconstruction, God, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Why is reconstruction sad? Reconstruction should not be sad. Disintegration is sad. Disintegration is pain. It's disease. Except here. Why is this backwards? I see it as I see a piston in a car. Where there's two components. So that when the seed drop happens, you're supposed to have an elevated emotion. So that when you are in the seed drop, you are experiencing encouragement. And that encouragement is supposed to balance out the seed drop. But it's not. That's not what's going on at all. Now, my daughter did it to me 2 days ago. She was wonderful with this. I was having a really bad seed drop. Like, it was bad. I felt like I would never be happy again. And she said to me, third law of Newton, Mom. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yeah, you said it was Einstein. Could you turn the light on, please? And it was exactly what I needed to hear. It was the most beautiful. There was no more beautiful quote than that. I was at the worst of my worst. I felt like I will never be happy again. I'm like, this is a really difficult seed drop. Why is this one so hard? And I knew it would pass, but I did not feel like it. And then my daughter just quoted the third law of Newton at me. And I went, it's going to come back. It will bounce back because third law of Newton says so. And the next day I snapped out of it. I woke up the next morning fine. And I think this is the learning process. We have to learn how to be optimistic when we're low. Oh, that's not hard. That's hard. You have to learn how to be optimistic when you're low. And you have to learn how to be realistic when you're high. Why would I do that? But why is Mother Nature telling me I have to do that? Why is Mother Nature saying I have to do this? This is reverse engineering. this is it right here. This is what it looks like. And basically, it's using mathematics to translate the logical Occam's razor. What is the simplest explanation for Mother Nature doing this? Mother Nature only ever uses Occam razor. She's really simplified. I love her for that. I love her for that so much. So it feels like we have to be optimistic when we're low and we have to be realistic when we're high. We do that and it balances out and we're not supposed to have seed drops. We're not supposed to have seed drops. Oh, we're not supposed to have seed drops. That's what's fucked up. We're never supposed to have seed drops. But wait a minute, what about Newton's third law? For every opposite action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It drops down there, but that's an anomaly. I've done enough math graphs. That is an anomaly. Okay, so here's how this works. You've done a graph, okay? A, D, B, C, A, D. Okay, so this is the graph. All right, we all know this graph. It's called a line graph, but that's not what happens. What actually happens is this. That is actually what takes place during a seed drop. Psychologists think this is normal. This isn't normal. This does not match anything in Mother Nature. This contradicts Mother Nature. This is what happens when you have morons doing science without any science. This is an anomaly. You're not supposed to have a seed drop because math doesn't do that. What math does, I'm going to do my crayons. I'm going to do crayons. That's what math does. Mother Nature does a plane. She does not do seed drops, which means this is man-made. If it's man-made, it means that it is disintegration. Because you're not supposed to get stuck there. You see, you're still deconstructing. When you do any kind of deconstruction, you do, right? So here would be the deconstruction, and then here would be the reconstruction. Well, it would actually be more like, let me just get it right here at the point. So A and D would be Plato's point. And then this would be the reconstruction side. And then you would have the reconstruction side and then back at Plato's point. I can do this. I'm just going to put PP. There you go. All right. So you have, this is what it looks like. So this is an anomaly in science because it's not following any of the same mathematical pattern. Everything in science, everything in biology, everything in math, everything follows this pattern. It's the pattern of everything. And the seed drop does not follow it. So it's an anomaly, which means the seed drop is never supposed to drop. You are never supposed to drop. So the question is, why are you dropping? And here is why. Between A, D, and B, this is going to be the deconstruction. Now, deconstruction is what feels bad. Deconstruction doesn't feel good. And deconstruction always happens first, which means A and B is deconstruction. So if you're going to feel bad, you're going to feel bad between A, D, and B. If you're going to feel good, you're going to feel good between B and a half. B and a half. So between A, D, and B and a half, you have deconstruction. And between B and a half and C, you're going to have reconstruction. Reconstruction always feels better than deconstruction. Always. Reconstruction is when you feel good. However, the C drop is when you feel worse. And the reason why is because when you are deconstruction, you are supposed to be practicing realistic. You are supposed to be making or practicing accurate forecasting. That is what you are supposed to be doing when you are deconstructing accurate forecasting. You're going through a breakup, your focus needs to be accurate forecasting. You're going through a death in the family, you need to practice accurate forecasting. Now, if you don't practice accurate forecasting, you're going to have a C drop. You're going to have a C drop so low that you're going to enter into the world of suicide because you did not have accurate forecasting. Likewise, when you have a C drop, when you are reconstructing, you are supposed to be practicing optimism. There's no other way. When you are practicing reconstruction, practice optimism. Here's why. It will become so associated and so conditioned into you that every time you feel yourself disintegrating, you will immediately put yourself. Did I get that backwards? No, I did not. When you are low, the C drop is grieving. I hate doing mirror work. Mirror work means you're working from the cure side. When you're doing the right side of the mirror, you're looking at the natural. So now I have to reverse everything on the other side of the mirror to translate it for a cure, which is just like, because you have to think backwards. So I'm working on double projection right now with logical. So I'm doing literally reverse. I'm doing mirror image logic. Welcome to mirror image logic. That's what I invented. Discovered. Mirror image logic. It's a fucking bitch. Mirror image logic. There is no other word for this. It is mine. I am lathering my name all over it. Mirror image logic by Anna. Oh, this is getting naming rights. I'm going to sign this one. Anna Imagination. This is my shit. Mirror image logic. Oh, you guys say you have no idea. It's nice to finally put it in a summary of, you want to know what I do? I do mirror image logic. So while you guys are going, if the dog has 4 legs, and if that is a dog, then it has 4 legs. I'm going, if something looks like A to B to C to B, and that's the way we're supposed to construct it over here with nature, then the reverse of that would be inverting the logical code. So I'm inverting logical code. That's how I figure out the cure. Is first I figure out the natural, whatever the fuck this is, and then I invert it with the mutant so I can figure out precisely how to reverse it. That's what I'm doing right now. And when I don't, well, because it's mirror image, I lose relativity because I'm on the mirrors. So now because I'm working with natural logic and then I have to do the mirror image to see the actual logic that you guys are going to need, because you need the reverse. No, you don't need the reverse. You need the mirror of it. As a result, I have to do a double projection of myself into the right perspective while also doing the mirror image logic. That's what I'm doing. So I lose relativity when I do this. And when I lose relativity, I forget which side of the mirror I'm on. So I have to use the Cartesian coordinate system, triangulation, and also keep myself on the wrong side of the mirror so I can reverse engineer the mirror image of the logic. This is mental diversification. So the goal is to classically condition your brain so that you will automatically be happy when you disintegrate. No, you don't want to do that, because you're going to need that. Oh, is this a catch-22? See, here's the idea, is you should never feel pain when you reconstruct, but you are. Now that tells me, let's follow it. Why would you feel, oh yes, we're going to do this. We're going to do this right here. Why would you feel pain during reconstruction? That is the question I have. Why would you feel pain during reconstruction? Now, I just did this with my last C drop. I felt pain with reconstruction. No one feels pain with reconstruction. You should not feel pain with reconstruction. Why are you? Why are you even having a C drop? Now, I'm having C drops because I was taught from the DSM-5 bullshit that people have C drops. And I went, oh, everyone has C drops. So my subconscious mind would have gone, got it, manifesting, everybody's got C drops. Wait. Now I'm looking at it going, no, C drops are not natural, because I fucking know what a line on a graph looks like. And this actually complements, supports all of my other theories, in addition to the fact that we do not get hurt when we reconstruct. There is no pain in reconstruction. Why is there pain in reconstruction? Healing does not hurt because we are so used to deconstruction. That's why healing hurts. Interesting. Ooh, I'm onto it. I understand. Neuroscientists, relief and pain are reversed in the brain. This is it right here. We have relief and pain cross-wired. So we can't tell the difference between relief and pain anymore. That's what this is. So why would you feel pain during reconstruction? Because you get relief from deconstruction. Which means when you die, you actually feel good. That's what that means. That some people are so bad with this that dying feels good to them. Which means whatever part of the brain is with relief and whatever part of the brain is with pain, they're reversed. The wires are crossed between relief and pain. Pleasure. By the way, I feel all of that right here. Like this is like pulsing right now. And I can also feel this right here. Relief and pleasure and pain. You should feel pain when you disintegrate. Now, why would your brain do that? Because conditioned to normalize. After they conditioned to normalize, they were recalibrated. So they were recalibrated. What happens if we recalibrate them in addition to in addition to triadic healing. The conditioned response all right. Here's the challenge. Seed drops should never hurt. If you're in a seed drop and it hurts you, they wrote the graph wrong. That's why I'm saying the wrong logic. Oh, goddamn psychologists! A and D, B, C, A and D. The graph does that properly, but it's not a seed drop. I have a skill I'm supposed to learn here. The skill is when you're having a seed drop, be optimistic. I found it. When you I don't think I can touch that other part. Yes, be realistic. You want to practice accurate forecasting. So if everything is going well for you, you need to practice accurate forecasting. And if shit hits the fan and everything just tanks, practice optimism. Practice optimism. There it is. That is the actual graph. The psychologists gave me this one, where it was everything's fine and then it drops. No, it's not everything's fine because you're spiking. So this is your actual graph. They had the wrong graph. That's why the seed drops are so bad. You should not be jumping up into that euphoria. When I was 16, I spent 2 years collecting daily data of all my moods with my corresponding emotions. I did that research for 2 years. I literally took a full record of every hour on the hour. I tracked every emotion and mood, and I did notice exactly that. And then I started to adjust my behavior based off of my mindset to see what would fluctuate where, and then I tracked that data. I did that from 16 to 18 years old. That was some of my favorite research, which is why I was able to suddenly recognize that pattern. And I'm going, I know that pattern. They fucked up the graph. So what they told me it was in that goddamn piece of shit DSM-5 was this. God, this drove me nuts. I'm going to show you what the DSM-5, oh, I'm sorry, AB. Okay, so this is D, and this is B. I can do B, and that's going to be C, and this is A, and then D. Okay, so what? All right, so this is how the DSM-5, and I'm going to clarify, this is not my work. See, this is why you don't copy parrots, because it gets wrong. So this is how they do it in the DSM-5. This is incorrect. This is actually what's going on. which is why, oh yeah, everything's great. And they're like, no. If you're having a C drop, it's because you're having a spike up. Newton's third law. Thank you, Lizzie. Newton's third law. You are down so low because you were up way too high, which means you're not self-regulating. To self-regulate, what you need to do, oh, this is what I was looking for. This is the formula for self-regulation. In order to self-regulate, you are going to need to practice accurate forecasting when things are going great for you. And when things are going bad for you, you need to practice optimism. That is what optimism and accuracy are for. You absolutely want optimism when you are low, and you are supposed to practice accurate forecasting when you are high. And that is going to self-regulate you. It will flatten it out and then it will go. Now, what's going to happen is your hormones in your brain for optimism is going to juice up your brain and give you the depleted serotonin that you've needed. And it's going to compensate for that. The practice your accurate forecasting is going to prevent you from going too high so you don't crash because you're getting too much you're getting too much happy juice. So you want to use your words to manifest. Practice accurate forecasting when things are going great for you. And you're going to require practicing and manifesting optimism when things are low for you. Now, this is another vital part of this. This is going to self-regulate, reset your brain, and straighten it out. It will stop the depression. It will climb you out of the depression. It could prevent suicide. Very well could prevent suicide. And it should also correct any imbalance you have in your brain that causes dementia, anything at all like that. Now, in addition to that, when you partner this up with the work of triadic healing, this is going to be amazing. So this particular thing right here, I don't know what to call this thing. It's definitely using the two types of manifestation strategically so that you can get your self-regulation, and you're going to use words to control your hormones in your brain. That's what you're going to do. You're going to use words to control the hormones in your brain, because when you use words, it sets off electricity, which sets off a type of energy, which sets off the right hormones. Words control your mind. So if you know the right manifestations to say, those words are going to trigger the correct electrical currents, which I know. So you can literally use whatever words you need to set off whatever patterns you need in your brain electrically. I've been doing that for a while. Every word you say is an electrical code inside your brain. Every word. And certain words evoke certain electrical current. And when you hear those words under certain situations, it develops an association with the electrical charge that's being set off for your right hormone versus what word you're saying. So after a while, you build up not an association with the actual meaning of the word, but you build up an association with the chemical that it releases. You've been Pavloved dogged. To undo the Pavlov dog and the ringing bell, you're going to have to use the proper words. But in order to do that, you have to dig out the truth and go back to the words. So when you practice accurate forecasting, in this particular case, you are using realism to keep yourself from going too high, because your brain will naturally trigger it. What you want to do is dose yourself with realism to bring that high down. In addition, when you're having a C drop, your brain is automatically going to be dumping all the really bad hormones that make you feel like shit. That's going to be a guarantee. You're going to suffer drastically. When you could suffer drastically, depending upon how low your C drops are. When you do that, you're going to want to literally use optimism to pump your C drop, or you pump your brain filled with literally all the chemicals you need. Now, this is a skill This is not something that you're just going to be able to do. It is a skill that you develop over a long period of time. Long period of time, maybe some people will pick it up faster. I am just now becoming consciously aware of it. I have been doing it already unconsciously for a long time. So I'm officially a master of this skill, whatever the fuck the skill is. I don't know. And this is the first time I'm becoming consciously aware of it. So this is what it looks like when you step into the role of a master. It's when you suddenly have conscious awareness with comprehension. And that's how you get awareness. Awareness is literally comprehension with conscious awareness. And the only way to do that is by combining logic with practicing skill development while also understanding the entire procedure. I have no idea what skill this is. I am using word to literally strategically manipulate the electrical energy in my brain to get the corresponding chemical. Yep. I'm not going to use the word manipulate. We're going to do a different word. I'm going to use word to develop an association, to trigger an association. There you go. So I use a word to trigger an association to get the electrical pulse, to get the chemical that I want. Method. There. This is what we're going to call it until I can summarize it further. So I say a word. It's the I say a word to trigger an association to get the right electrical current, to trigger the right chemical method. I have no idea what this thing is that I do, but it's something I like to do. And when I see something like this, moods and things like that, it's you just need a certain manifestation to trigger the right word, to get the right electrical current, to get the right chemical, and you'll feel better. But after you develop this skill, it goes fast. So you're going to get better and better at it so that eventually you won't have any C drops, which is when you will be self-regulated and everything will flow accordingly. I was going to say, we should not be having C drops. That does not make sense. That should not at all make sense. And this is not to stop the difficulty from happening. The difficulty and the challenge will still happen, but you won't be emotionally hopeless. And that's the difference. This is how we're going to call this the hope therapy. We're going to call it hope therapy. I don't want to use the word therapy. It's a disgusting, dirty word. Let's call it the hope method. Hope. That is what this is. This is how you get hope. Yeah. I could not figure out for the longest time. It should be a spiral. But there was a C drop in the spiral. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So as you're going around the spiral, you're doing this around the spiral. And I'm going, what the fuck are you doing that? And according to the therapist, the DSM-5, it was this and then a drop. And I'm like, why is there a massive drop there? And I was analyzing deconstruction and reconstruction. And you see, when I reverse engineer and I'm close to an epiphany, there's no C drop. There's no C drop. I don't have to struggle before I get my massive epiphany. You don't have to struggle before you get your massive epiphany. I never struggle before I get my massive epiphany. Everything runs quite smoothly. Everything we're the only time. So I'm looking at this going, why the fuck are we having this massive when it rains it pours? What the fuck is going on? That's the mental illness. This is it right here. But we're all walking around going, oh yeah, we're supposed to have that. No, not according to the spiral, not according to the no, that contradicts all of science. And that's what I've been trying to say to all of you. You're saying a lot of stuff that contradicts science. Do you know what truth is? Because you're saying an awful lot of stuff that doesn't even make sense because not even science agrees with you guys. And yeah, like science is Mother Nature. You do know that, right? A lot of people don't. A lot of people have no idea that science is literally the language. Mother Nature, all right, let's do this. Mother Nature speaks 18 languages. Yes, she does. She has 18 languages. In order to understand Mother Nature, you have to learn at least 80% of those languages. For some comparison, that means you need to learn approximately 16 of the languages. After you learn Mother Nature's languages, you can hear her, you can feel her, you can see her, you become her. Actually, I don't know if that's just me. I became her. So I don't know if that's me or everybody else. You're going to have to tell me how it is for you. And I'm looking at her, me going, yeah, it's 18 languages. She only speaks 18 languages. Well, those are her basic primary languages. That's her first language. So Mother Nature's first language is broken down into 18 parts. Now, the only one who has studied all 18 languages, well, that would be Da Vinci. And I have about 80% down. But scientists have studied the majority of these languages. So of all the people, let me put it to you this way. A musician has studied one. A musician has studied one of the languages. An artist will have studied two. We're going to break this down to the 6 languages, the 6 core languages, each of which have a total of 18 together, or all of them having 18 together, 3 each. So if you look at it that way, you fall into the category of the 1 through 6. So the one musician would be the 1, the artist would be the 2, the readers would be the 3rd language. So if you're an artist who doesn't like to read, you're not even at the 3rd language, which means you might have 6 of the 18 languages. With the readers, you're looking at possibly 9 of the languages if you're a reader. If you are a theater, stage, poetry person, you're at the 4th. You officially speak 4 of the 6 languages. And if you are at the logic, Proto-Indo-European, European etymology, let's say the ancient languages, ancient language. And there you're at the 5th in math. And if you're on to the physics, if you're on to the chemistry, now in your biology, now you're at the 6 languages. So the physicists and the chemists speak almost all of Mother Nature. So they are the most fluent in her language. The average person, however, doesn't even do any of these. The average person just doesn't do any of these, like none. And those would be everyone between the age or the 1st through the 4th perspectives, all the foundationals. The foundationals don't even practice her language, which is why they can't hear her. That is exactly why they can't hear her, because they don't speak any of her language. They haven't studied music to hear her. They haven't studied art to hear her. They haven't studied theater, stage, poetry to hear her. Now, most physicists have taken a music instrument. Most artists or most physicists paint and enjoy art. All of them read. I've yet to meet one that doesn't. They all read. A lot of them enjoy theater, stage, poetry. A lot of them have studied language, biology, logic. So when you look at, of all of us here, the scientists have studied almost, well, the 80% to 100% of Mother Nature's language. And here is the biggest lie of the sixth ethical perspectives, the spiritualists. They are so ignorant of Mother Nature, they don't even recognize it in science. I see all truth. This lie really pisses me off. That spiritualists are so ignorant of Mother Nature that they can't even recognize her in science. And that is where I don't really have anything else to say about that. Mother Nature has 6 core languages broken down into 3 pieces each. And unless you speak at least 80% of these subjects, you are not going to hear her or understand her, which means your translation is garbage. Which means you're only hearing, you have very poor reception. Foundationals have 0% reception. Musicians have, well, let's do this. 15, 30. Math is becoming a real pain in my butt. No, I was correct. I was dealing with an infinite. Okay, so you're looking at about 33%. Musicians only speak 33% of her language. Artists who study both music and art study another 33% of her language. That is not correct. That is not at all correct. Fuck the math. Can't stand it when I can't do math. I know what I did. Now, I am way too fucking high to do simple math, so forget it. I'm not even going to try. Just never going to, no. Too high to do simple math. So basically, the musicians have the least if you've just studied music. The artists have the next to least if they've just studied art and music. The readers, if you're a reader, great. Reader with art, with music, you're halfway there. Theater, stage people, and or poetry, performance, oral. This is basically oral. This is all oral story. That's really all that is oral story. We just need to call that whole section what it really is, oral story. So music, artist, reader, oral story. And you're now you're about 80% through. But you really, I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine not hearing her without logic. That's how you put it all in order. That's really a great way to put it. That's how you put it in order. That's what the logic does. It tells you what order her story goes in. Oral, theater, stage, poetry is the ability to tell the story. You don't do theater stage poetry, you're not going to be able to even tell her story. You don't do reading, writing, and arithmetic. Yeah, you're not going to be able to have any kind of a human connection with people. There's no connection. Your connection will be translation. That's what that is, translation. You would not be able to translate her. You don't do art, you won't be able to translate. That's also part of it. There's like she literally has 3 layers of translation here. So she has translation, interpretation, I would say. So music is the interpretation. So first you have to interpret it. Then you have to translate it. Then you have to translate it for other people. And then you have to tell the story. Then you have to put it in the right order. And then you have to explain it. That is Mother Nature's language. If you do not study music, you will not be able to interpret Mother Nature properly. If you do not study art, you will not be able to translate Mother Nature properly. And if you do not study reading, writing, arithmetic, you will not be able to translate her for other people. And if you do not study theater stage poetry, you're not going to be able to tell anybody what you're seeing or anything. And if you do not study logic and language, you're not going to be able to put it in the right order. Without physics, chemistry, biology, you're not even going to be able to explain the why behind it. None of it. You cannot tell a story of Mother Nature. You don't know who she is. You don't know who she is. You can't even speak her language. And because you don't know who she is, how do you know who you are? That's your mother. That's your mother. That's why she's called Mother Nature. That's your mother. If you don't know who your mother is, then how do you know who you are? That's why we learn. So you can learn about your mother. So you can learn about you. But you don't even speak her language. So the only ones who speak her language are literally physicists and chemists and biologists. No one else can speak her language. Other people might be close, but no one is more fluent than the physicist, the chemist, and the biologist. Now, here's the problem. Most physicists, chemists, and biologists do not study all the other stuff. They study more so than most, but still not enough. So they're struggling interpreting her. Now, put them together and you can speak Mother Nature. When you don't speak Mother Nature fluently, you end up putting a bunch of plates underneath a cloth, telling people, this is what I saw, this is what I heard, it's all on these plates, but you're not allowed to look at the plates. It's really, really important that you learn how to actually speak her language, because now you're looking at how accurate is your translation. Now you're looking at a connection with Mother Nature and yourself, but you can't even talk to your mother. So what you're looking at is, what is your transmission? Because I'm telling you right now, she is loud. The problem's not her. Her reception is super good. You are the problem with you not being able to receive her message. So your reception is the problem. In order to learn your reception so that you can listen to Mother Nature, you're going to have to study some shit. You're going to have to learn the 18 languages of Mother Nature, which can be condensed into 6 categories. Once you have the 18 languages of Mother Nature, I know why I was doing math. I understand it now. I was going by the 18 while I was also trying to go by the 6 at the same time, because my past and my future overlapped again. Because I'm integrating. So I saw 18 academic disciplines at the same time that I saw 6 academic disciplines. And I'm going, why can't I do this basic, simple formula? It is literally like first grader algebra. What's going on? Now I understand. I was trying to do 2 equations at the same time. That's what I was doing. All right. Your reception is terrible. So you can't even understand Mother Nature. And the only people here who can really understand Mother Nature are the scientists. And everyone's looking at the scientists going, no, that's not it. And they're going spirituality. And I'm going, why the fuck are you running towards spirituality? Well, that's just another religion. The science is over here. Mother Nature is here. They're the ones translating her. Your reception is off. So because your reception is off, well, that's why you need chakra stones. It's because you don't know how to discipline your anything. That's where you need to start pulling in all of these other aids because you don't know how to discipline your magic. Magical discipline is vital in this. Magical discipline is all that this is. And because you don't know how to discipline your magic, your reception is lousy. And as a result, you're not picking up on Mother Nature. You're only getting a fraction of it. But you are so magically undisciplined that now you're going through a metaphysical transformation and you don't even know what's going on because you are that magically undisciplined. No one ever taught you. However, it's really important that you keep in mind where your education on this really is. Because the minute you start developing an opinion, you're not going to learn anything. But if you had, I was talking to somebody about this where we were talking about wands and distaffs. Distaff is the Old Norse wand. And he was going over hypothesizing what it was used for. And it's very simple. It's a training wheel. The wand is a training wheel for somebody who doesn't know how to siphon their magic properly yet because the real badass witches just use their hands. The distaff is something that apprentices use. You also would do it if you're using a highly complicated spell so that you would condense and transfer all of your power into one thing. But don't ever forget that you are the power. And that's the problem with the wand and the distaff. Is suddenly you have forgotten that you're the one with the power. It's not the wand with the power. It's you. You want to amplify your power prematurely without actually earning it? Oh, no. Now that's sloppy. No, we don't do that. What you really need to do is learn how to harness your own power. But if you can't even quiet the noise in your head, how do you think you're going to wield any kind of magic? Magical discipline is a discipline. And that's really what you're looking at. That's really what you're dealing with when you're trying to calm and quiet the voices in your head. It is the ability to use words to trigger electrical currents in your brain so that you can process whatever you need to process with the right hormones. So you're dosing yourself with hormones. That's what you're doing. And when you start to douse your head with hormones strategically, just using certain words due to association and word magic, suddenly you have a lot more control over your brain and your mind. And now you have the ability to pretty much manipulate the right order of operations for your mind so you can heal yourself. But again, this is really detailed discipline. This is really what goes inside manifestation. It's not what you're pulling out there. It's what you're doing in here because you're the real magic. And it's understanding how people connect so that when you do connect with someone, you can pull on the right people to come towards you, but only if they can translate Mother Nature. So really what you're all doing is you're reading Mother Nature so that you can very easily just go right through the branches and hear her, however you need. It's all linked together because you know how to read Mother Nature. And eventually you learn to read her so well that you can hear the other people on the other side reading her. And it's just your ability to read Mother Nature. But again, spiritualists are so ignorant of Mother Nature that they don't even recognize her in science. And science is pure Mother Nature. That's all she is. That's all they're doing is reverse engineering Mother Nature. They're dissecting her. That's all they're doing. Scientists dissect Mother Nature on every level using her languages. That's why physics, chemistry, and biology are ripping her apart, and it tickles her. They're just dissecting Mother Nature. And when you master the art of dissecting Mother Nature, you find new languages that she speaks. You find a lot more. And as you assemble what you find from Mother Nature, what you are really building is the truth, which is who is Mother Nature. Because as soon as you know who Mother Nature is, you know who you are. Because without knowing who Mother Nature is, you'll never know who you are, which is why you need the parent code. So Mother Nature is our parent code, and we are in the process of learning who she is so we can know who we are. Mother Nature is truth. And the only ones who are actually studying Mother Nature is scientists. Because they're in the last question of her language, which is the how and the why. Because they've already answered all the other ones. They're actually using it to reverse engineer her. That's how you do it. You use interpretation translations, two translation types, telling the story in the order of operations, so you can translate Mother Nature into something you can understand. So as you watch scientists, what you're really doing is watching them piece together Mother Nature. So either you're a scientist and you're right there with them, helping them, or you're just weaving nonsense because you can't even speak her language. And if you like the nonsense you're weaving, okay, but at least be realistic about what you're weaving. That it's not at all what Mother Nature is, because you don't have any of her language skills to even communicate with her. Yeah. She follows the same pattern over and over again. You'll see it in everything. Plato's point, disintegrate, integrate, Plato's point. Over and over again. Except every time you integrate and disintegrate, you grow. Because you always become more than what you are. And that's the code. The problem is, well, that is your code. That is not DNA, but it's like DNA. It's the DNA of your mental health. It's your subconscious mind's DNA. There. That is your mental DNA. That is what a mental DNA chain looks like. That little symbol represents the AIDNS, the Abstract Interventional Navigational System. That is literally the walk through the step-by-step, the whole process. Yeah. This is the chain that I build every time I go back and I build it, is I'm doing the A, B, ABC, ABCD, ABCD. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And A is always, what is love? Always. What is love? That is always the first one. So it's that little thing there, A, and it is what is love? And I'm going to tell you right now, the answer is it's growth. It's growth. And then if you look through your entire life and look for every moment that you grew, that's when you had love, and that's when things were right. Everything else was a lie. Now you have common denominators that you can use. Take your what is love growth challenge, put it together and locate your common denominators for every time you grew. That is your truth. Everything else is a lie. Everything else. Now, what you need to go back to is you have to find your first growth. What is your first grow moment? You will be happy in that moment. When was your first grow moment? Because that is when your code was perfect. If you do not have a first grow moment, it's because you never were able to define love. I do not have a first grow moment. My first memory is disintegration because they would not let me see all of Manhattan from the torch. I grew when I was on stage. My first grow moment is when I was on the stage. And I went, ah, yes, this is where I belong. I was also singing on stage later. That was my next grow moment. Yes, those were my grow moments. I grew when I was on stage. I associate growth with stage. Well, that's fascinating. Every one of my grow moments was on stage. Interesting. So yeah, you find your first grow moment. You should be happy in it. You will be happy in it because you're growing. And that is your beginning point. Every time you were sad, every time you were not growing, that was and I mean like disintegrated when you felt yourself. You're going to look for a period of time. I don't mean like a low sad point or a challenge. I mean, it was the point where you were abused and you were disintegrating. That is what you're going to look for. Your moments of abuse. That's disintegration. So any data that you collected from a point of disintegration is false. Only the data you collect during a grow moment is true. Collect your grow moments, put them together, and look for the common denominators. You're going to want the constants of your grow moments. What are the constants of your grow moments? My whole reason for doing this way is because I don't know the story. I'm making it up. I'm writing the story while I'm sitting here walking you through it. And I'm going, I have no idea what I'm going to teach next. I just know what feels right, what feels good, what topic needs to be covered. I don't know. I'm reverse engineering this. That is what I'm doing. I am reverse engineering this. So when you have, let me write logical chain for you that's faulty. I'm going to show you what faulty logical chain looks like. So you have that point, the little point. Okay, so that's A. Oh, I have two there. Let me fix that. Okay. That's AB, ABC. Okay, so the first one I give you is proper code. But what happens when you get improper code? Well, you get that. That is broken code. That's when you get to disintegration and then you never recover. You never reconstruct. You never reconstruct. What it really looks like is this. There's no Plato's point. You have construction of trauma, deconstruction, and there's just no Plato's point. So you're left disintegrating. And then you're given a false piece of logic. Like the logical code is backwards, and it just you keep disintegrating. And it literally looks like it looks like a break. Like I can literally see it. It looks like a red break in the middle of this perfect black and white thing. And it stands out to me like wow, that's not natural. Because whatever you look at, you can see how Plato point, it disintegrates, integrate, Plato point. Every single thing does this. And if somebody, and here's how it is when you see somebody that says something that's not logical, right there it is. It's like what you would hear with, can I even think up an illogical fallacy at this point? It immediately is just a break. Like there's no stepping stone, so you can't go to the next chain of thought. It's like playing with dominoes and some of your dominoes are missing. So when you knock it over, it's not going to go. It's exactly like that. It's not going to go. So now you've got a broken logical chain. Your chain broke, basically. You have a broken chain. And when you have a broken chain, you're still living. So now you have time. You have time, and it's going only as fast as your logical understanding. Your understanding has to be synchronized with time. Time, by the way, is your synapses firing. It is your frequency of synapses. That is your time. Your time is how fast are your synapses firing, the frequency of your synapses. That is your time. It is the speed of synapses. That's it. Time is the speed of synapses. Time is not a constant. That is what time is. My God, that feels so good. Time is literally just the speed of your synapses, the frequency in which your synapses fires. That's it. Your IQ is time. Really, your IQ is time. Your IQ measures how fast your synapses fires. But that doesn't mean your ethics have to be aligned with that. And if your IQ is not going as, oh, that's fucking dangerous. That is really fucking dangerous. Your speed of synapses, your time, is going faster than your logical understanding or your ability to even talk. And your logical understanding and your ability to talk is your ethics. That is you being able to apply your ethics. So now you've got your talking is at one frequency, your logic is at a different frequency. So now you have three frequencies that are, this is called out of phase signals. This is exactly out of phase signals. That's what time is. And once you get to the point of relativity, there is no time. Because you're no longer measuring in relativity, you're at point zero, you're at ground zero at the point of comprehension. There is no time at the center. Because you are literally standing inside of time. And every thought you put together is this chain. Oh, there's the words I've been trying to say. Every thought in your head is a logical code in your chain. Every thought. Every thought. Every belief. Every sentence. It is a logical chain. It's one piece of a logical chain. So you're going to have people who just want to constantly repeat and repeat and repeat, and you're trying to override. Now you're getting into a numbers game. Well, if I have a surplus of positive, you're still going to have the negative. You have to completely undo the negative. So constantly trying to manifest positivity without addressing the negative, it won't work. This is why. Because you still have negative code there. You have to remove the negative code. And that's where you go back to the if-then clause to contradict the code. So one of my favorite codes is, if it is narcissism, then I will do the opposite. And as a result, every time I figure out that something belongs to narcissism, it immediately comes out of my mind. It's gone, because I cannot violate the if-then clause if it contradicts narcissism. If it is narcissism, then I will do the opposite. And it's the narcissist contradiction code. And as soon as you find out, oh, that's narcissism, I'm going to do the opposite. Every single time. Every single time. And with my narcissist cure, it goes through, this is what narcissism is. And it immediately allows you to identify all of the narcissistic traits so you can switch it over. But if you like your narcissism, or if you, well, and then that's just it. Some people like their narcissism and they cling to it. That's narcissism. So it's do you hate narcissism more or less than? And that's really what it comes down to. The people who really hate narcissism, oh, they jump all over that. They jump all over it. And here's the thing is, once you understand what narcissism is, it literally strips everything out of you. It's the purge. And then when you combine that with your seed drops, that's beautiful. That is, yeah. I don't know what place of science this is. I just know that it feels cozy to me, and it's like my favorite place to be. Of all my science, this is my favorite spot. This is my favorite spot. Looking at the logical code of A, B, A, B, C, A, B, C, D. Yay! I love it. I love it. It's all you. You have 144,000 data points, logical threads that come into your head every day. 140 or 144,000. But data points, according to neuroscience. And it's like, whoa, that's how much data is going into your brain. So the question is, how much of it are you? That's coming to the door saying, can I come in? Well, are you logical? Why would I ever put illogical code in my brain? So I do that a lot. The Asha Journey teaches you how to sort out shit data. Well, here, this is it. Is if it contains the code A, B, C, you're just comparing, is it compatible with my logical code? If it's not compatible with your logical code, oh, you're not going to be okay. You're going to have to rewire old code in there. You going back to rewiring old code? Yeah, that's not okay. And it all starts with what is love. And I'll tell you why. Because first of all, love is actually this code. This is love. Love is growth. This is growth. This is logic. But this is growth. This is why logic is growth. And when you have a purified version of this, it's truth. It just keeps going back over and over again in itself. Because it's infinite. Because it's infinite. It's infinite. Yeah. Growth is infinite. That's just it. Is growth is infinite. I feel like we're supposed to grow, and we're supposed to keep up with time, and then we get to evolve through all of time. That's what it feels like for me, is we get to evolve and grow through time. We don't go through time, we grow through time. We are supposed to grow through time. And if you stop growing, you die. It's the game. So you get to grow through time. And then you're just evolving it all and you become all of it. But yeah, you really don't forget any of it, because once you get here, you remember all of it and you know the story. You just had to sort out the mess that was humanity's version of it. But that's the test. To ensure that you've passed the test, you have to be able to build the story as it truly is, because it's Mother Nature's story. You are in the test of translating Mother Nature. That is the test. The test: translate Mother Nature. That is the test. The question is, this translation is going to rely 100% on your reception. And your reception is only as good as you have studied, which is you need at least 80% to get any kind of proper reception. And when you're done, you're going to have a story that matches, and you get to grow on, or you die. But according to a lot of people, that's the way it's supposed to be. So, and that's just it, is when you get all 80, I remember reading this the first time, it was decades ago. Dying and aging is not normal. That's not natural. It is not natural. We've come to accept it as normal, but it's not natural. Normal does not mean natural. And these are the two words that people, I want to be normal. I want to be natural. How about instead of saying I want to be normal, you wish instead to be natural? Because natural is going to take you right back to Mother Nature. So it's really up to you. How many of her languages do you want to learn? And the people on the Asha journey, they learn all the languages. They learn at least 80% of the languages, and then they translate. And you don't even get to touch magic until you are 80% or higher. So, and this is the irony of it, is you don't even get to touch magic until you're 80% or higher, because Mother Nature is not going to give you that until you've earned it. So there's a whole lot of people who are just not getting good reception, and they're coming up with some really improper stories that don't at all reflect Mother Nature. And once you get your parent code, so that's it. You're looking for your parent code so you know who you are. And that's it, is what's your parent code. So once you get your parent code, you know who you are. You can now, okay, I know who I can be now. There's my parent code. There I am. There's my relativity to it. Here's truth. Now I'm in Rta. And you have this ability then to just see what's aligned, what's not. And sometimes, and this is it, is having this understanding, okay, all right, so this is where I'm at. Now it's just a matter of me sitting down going, I can see what's aligned, I can see what's not. Because I translated Mother Nature. I got her story. And the whole purpose for having her story is so I could know who I am. I remembered this. There was a point where I'm like, I don't even know if we're human anymore. And honestly, to me, we're changelings. This is why I say we are changelings and we are sentient stories. Because Mother Nature is a changeling. And Mother Nature is a sentient story. Oh, good God, she is. And changelings are magic. They are a magical creature. It has to be this way. It's this massive chapter book just closing, and this next one is beginning. And I'm going, okay, so they're all trying to figure themselves out. And part of me just wants to sit back and observe. I really want to get to the point of just observing and watching. And that's really it. It's just the observation and the watching of it. I keep passing through these chapter zones, and I change my YouTube accordingly every time I go through a zone. So everything is evolving. As I change, and I will forever change, so does everything around me. So I keep looking for something to solidify, constants that will ground me and keep me from changing certain things. And when you're a changeling and you're looking for a constant, it's downright difficult. There's just nothing else to it. It's just downright difficult. Finding constants when you're a changeling, that's what the truth is for. That is literally the only thing that the truth is for, is to ground you. The truth grounds you. It's the only thing that grounds you. And truth is love, logic, and constant. It does not change. I was looking for you. I've been looking for you for a long time. I found the first compass. Truth is the first compass, which is love, which is logic, which is constant, which is growth. Growth is constant. Which means the past is what was. Which means the truth is the past, which is the point of origin. The truth is the past. But if someone rewrites your past because they lie, they contaminate the truth. All right. Which is why you look for the common denominators. Because the common denominators will always show you the truth. Always. The common denominators. Thank you. And may the kindest words of truth always find you.